Welcome to Spotlight on the Shadow, a series that aims to shine a spotlight on the so-called secondary impacts of COVID-19 in Asia, especially for women and girls. The first topic we'll be covering in this series is that of child marriage, with a focus on Bangladesh. Child marriage is a huge issue that affects millions worldwide and has grown to a worrying degree over the past year. Bangladesh, despite success in reducing child marriage over the past few years, has been one of the many countries seeing a rise caused by COVID. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly introduce this series. Its name comes from the title Shadow Pandemic, given to the issue of violence against women and girls during COVID-19, which encapsulates the dark and concerning issues coming to a head over the past year. We'll focus especially on issues that aren't making the front page, but still have a huge impact on many people's lives. Our first topic, child marriage, is a significant global issue. There has been a reduction in the last decade, especially in South Asia, where UNICEF reports it dropping from 50% of girls to just below 30%. Though there are boys who are married underage, they make up only 1/6 of child marriages globally, and unlike girls, a far lower proportion of them are married under the age of 15. However, there are still about 12 million girls married while still children per year. The impact of child marriage is multifaceted. UNICEF lists the key impacts on a girl as including early pregnancy and social isolation, interrupting her schooling and limiting her opportunities for career and vocational advancement. The loss of autonomy that comes from marriage as a child means that the impacts are by no means limited to those listed here. The impact of COVID on child marriage cannot be understated. The factors introduced by COVID include the lack of access to schooling, the loss of millions of jobs, and the increased ease of setting up marriage for children in secret thanks to social isolation. Furthermore, as with many aspects of the shadow pandemic, the lack of women as a presence in meetings surrounding decisions about COVID may be a factor in the lack of prioritization of so-called female issues. In many countries, including Bangladesh, fewer than 20% of the COVID task force are women. The impact of this is enormous. UNICEF states that up to 10 million more girls will be at risk of becoming child brides since the pandemic. Bangladesh is one of the many countries which is struggling with the factors brought by COVID that lead to child marriage and has seen a sharp increase in the past year. Before the pandemic, Bangladesh was the country with the fourth highest child marriage rate in the world. 51% of girls are married under the age of 18, and those who are married as children are 4 times more likely to be out of school. 50% of those married as children give birth to their first child under the age of 18. In the past few years, the government, NGOs, and community groups have taken steps towards the prevention of child marriage through education and changed policy. Though the rate of 51% child marriage is still very high, it's a significant reduction from 64% in 2010. However, the pandemic has disrupted this progress, and child marriage in Bangladesh is on the rise. BRAC, an international development organisation in Bangladesh, cites 167 attempts of child marriage above the projected total in 2019 and 292 more in 2020. The Manusha Jono Foundation, one of the largest NGOs in Bangladesh, reported that at least 13,886 girls in 21 districts were victims of child marriages between April and October of 2020. Of this total, 48% were between 13 and 15 years old. In all, UNICEF reports that Bangladesh is currently home to 38 million child brides. The causes of this sharp increase lie along the same lines as the global factors we discussed earlier. Anna Minj, the director of BRAC's Community Empowerment Programme, describes key factors such as school closure for a long time, job loss in families, and the overall economic condition of the country as being among the causes behind the rise in child marriage in the pandemic. She also argues that arranging marriage events in the pandemic is at a comparatively low cost, while the low mobility of everyone during COVID allows incidents to be hidden. With fewer than 20% of child marriages reported to officials, the rest are kept secret and are unable to be prevented. In the face of these dire statistics, and with so many affected, the fight against child marriage has been and continues to be long and difficult. COVID has only increased the struggle, but there are a great number of global solutions to end child marriage that have been studied, proposed, and put in place. With the prioritization of these solutions, there is hope that child marriage can be ended. From a global standpoint, child marriage falls under the 5th UN Sustainable Development Goal, which aims to eliminate all harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage and female genital mutilations by 2030. 193 countries have agreed to end child marriage by 2030 under these SDGs. Furthermore, international NGOs such as Girls Not Brides and non-profits such as the International Centre for Research on Women are key in researching, spreading education, and sharing resources for community groups aiming to decrease child marriage. Many sources cite lack of education as the key factor in causing child marriage, and through international groups' aims in improving it, there is hope that communities will reject child marriage more and more in the coming years. However, it is the focus on local, grassroots solutions that seems to be key in preventing many cases of child marriage. This is indeed true for Bangladesh, where it is community-led, local action that has created the most concrete and significant change. It must be said that Bangladesh's government has introduced the Child Marriage Restraint Act in 2017 and the National Plan of Action (NPA) to end child marriage in 2018, demonstrating a drive to end child marriage that must continue through the pandemic if an end is to be found. As previously mentioned, however, it is the International Development Organization, BRAC, that has been vital in ending child marriages through education and communication. BRAC prevented 670 child marriages in 2019 and 1,091 in 2020, and continue to strive to prevent more each year. Most significantly, BRAC's women-led grassroots community empowerment scheme, Poli Chômage, has played a huge role in discovering, monitoring and preventing child marriage. Poli Chômage reported an 84% increase in the number of child marriages they prevented during the first 9 months of the pandemic. Though this is an indicator of the increased number of attempted marriages taking place, it also demonstrates the success of the group in preventing them. As BRAC points out, the women in Poli Chômage are well connected in their communities and understand the pressures that girls and families are under, making them the ideal ambassadors in bringing an end to child marriage from within the community. These groups must continue to strive for an end to child marriage, and their work through the setback of the pandemic is incredible. Through increased international pressure against child marriage and work within communities which focuses on girls and women as agents in their own lives, there is hope that child marriage will come to an end. However, it's a long way off, and without continued global support, it will not get any closer. If you'd like to learn more about these issues, please check out BRAC's website or look into girlsnotbrides.org. Through increased visibility and education on this issue, there is hope that it can be solved. Thank you for watching this first instalment of Spotlight on the Shadow by Jemima Sinclair. Look out for another episode in the coming weeks, and feel free to check out the rest of OxSID's term card for more events, podcasts and videos.